And now, the news. The so-called advocacy group, LGB Alliance, hosted its first annual conference this week, with several prominent British transphobes speaking at the event. Just after the one-day event kicked off, they tweeted a picture of their founder, Malcolm Clark, proudly posing with a cardboard cutout of J.K. Rowling. The caption reads, "Thank you for everything you do for LGB people." One Twitter user responded, "It's actually really funny that they wanted her to come, but she didn't, so this is the best that they managed." It's not clear whether she was invited to the conference, but one thing we do know is she follows them on Twitter. The advocacy group Transgender Action Bloc organised a protest against the conference and said many of them believe themselves to be feminists, but we believe feminists should not be this willing to throw other women, cis women too, under the bus. This is a bastardised version of feminism. We do not believe that this path will end in anything less than fascism. We have waited too long and fought too hard for what we have already, but they and their allies are taking what little voice we have away from us. Well, we know one of their allies has way too much power in this country. Prime Minister Boris Johnson. LGB Alliance tweeted a letter allegedly from the desk of 10 Downing Street, apologising for being unavailable to attend the conference, but thanking them for their incredible hard work. The letter reads, "The Prime Minister is delighted to learn of this groundbreaking event and is aware of what a truly momentous occasion this will be." Where do we fucking begin?
Just call it a comedy session and you can get away with it. That's one thing.
Shots fired around here.
Second thing.
Yeah.
Like I said in the episode where we were talking about that transphobic piece of crap.
Yeah.
Just stand on the stage and say I'm racist, I'm nationalist. Same thing. Standing on the stage and saying I'm transphobic is the same thing. Openly being hateful, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's totally fine.
So I feel like we need to give some context, because if you've never heard of the LGB Alliance, they were founded in 2019 and they have already become one of the loudest anti-trans groups in the UK. The group claims to aim to advance the interests of lesbians, gay men and bisexuals, but it focuses its attention on attacking trans rights. So it's basically LGB without the T. That's their goal, basically. In the past, the group has compared LGBT plus inclusion to bestiality. They have refused to denounce its neo-Nazi and homophobic support base and has defended working with the anti-LGBT plus and anti-abortion Heritage Foundation. Malcolm Clark, the founder, has previously denounced LGBT clubs in schools, saying they shouldn't exist because of predatory gay teachers. Despite all this, the LGB Alliance has charity status in the UK.
Yeah.
So they are getting money for being transphobes, like a certain someone on Netflix.
Yeah. Are those people actually lesbian, gay and bi people in that alliance? Or just straight people came with a name and
really
supporting,
don't know.
quote unquote?
I wouldn't put it past them, to be honest.
If you're lesbian, gay or bi, and you think that trans people are not valid,
yeah,
just think of yourselves in the closet.
I think you actually need to do some research. If you are LGB and don't support the T, you don't support LGBT rights. You need to actually look at the history of gay rights. The fact that the Stonewall riots were started by a black trans woman. So we have gay rights because of trans people, and you need to honour that. You can't just throw them away. You can't just disregard us like we didn't do anything for you.
I can say this, for bi people in that LGB alliance.
Yeah.
Think how nice it is when lesbians and gays diss you. That's how trans people feel.
Well, don't get me started on the biphobia that these guys do as well.
Oh, that's the thing though.
Yeah.
To me, it's very suspicious. It just sounds like they covering themselves with LGB, pretending to be their, like, if people will hear from LGB, they will take it seriously.
Yeah.
It's like those people who transition and then they decide that it's not for them and they detransition and then they go out and speak about it, saying that kids are forced. Yeah. Or are those people who just use that data to talk against trans people?
The very small statistic.
The 1% of people who detransition.
Less than 1%.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So basically, this group is a charity. and they're invited onto news shows. The BBC work with them a lot. I don't know how they can be so homophobic as well. Comparing queer inclusion to bestiality, how are they dragging themselves under the bus?
That's why I can't believe that those people are actually LGB in the first place. My head can't get wrapped around. As someone who's been in the closet, you should understand, even if you don't understand the actual how trans people feel and why they want to transition, if you don't understand that, you still understand how oppressed they are and how they feel when they don't get support. To bully them, I don't get it.
To have actually had the experiences of being oppressed and shoved into the closet against your will, and to then do that to some of your fellow queer people, it's backwards.
It's like when you see disabled people and you, even if you don't understand what's up with them, you try to understand because you can imagine how hard it is for them to be supported and to be accepted, because you've been there, not in the same way, but you can imagine at least a bit how it is, and you wouldn't want them to go through the same shit as you went through. I would never wish to anyone to go through the same shit as we had to go through. And for us, it was easier than 20 years ago.
Absolutely. 20
years ago was easier than 40 years ago, and so on. And we are here because we were LGBT plus and not LGB. And I hope they disassemble.
I doubt they will, because they have Boris Johnson's support.
I can't understand how you can say, I hate this whole group, and then be like, I'm just saying, just my opinion. Freedom of speech.
I know. Oh, God.
I want to, we went so far. We are not nationalists anymore. We don't separate people from their color. We don't separate people from their religion. We don't separate people from their backgrounds. Except trans people. Separating trans people is okay. Did we learn anything from history?
Of course we fucking didn't. We're British.
It's not just Britain, though. It's the whole fucking world still.
Yeah, the British Empire. We colonized most of this world, Yeah.
I want to move. An unofficial adaptation of RuPaul's Drag Race has launched in Russia, but it's done its best to omit everything queer from the show. The show, titled Royal Cobras, is hosted by Russian TV presenter and social media star n.e.w.s. Even for me, it's hard. It mimics the Drag Race format and includes wonderful costumes, comedic performances, and lip-sync battles we're all familiar with. But what it does not include is any acknowledgement of the LGBT+ community, which is very much linked to drag culture. The first episode of the show opens up with a disclaimer that references Russia's so-called gay propaganda law signed by Vladimir Putin in 2013. The legislation bans the promotion of non-traditional sexual relationships. Anyone found guilty under the law can be sentenced to heavy fines or up to 15 years in prison. Activist Nikita Andrianov told the Moscow Times that Royal Cobras has nothing to do with the LGBT+ agenda in Russia, because it doesn't explicitly say the show is about LGBT+ people. The main problem lies in the silence, hence the feeling that LGBT+ people have never existed and that all this is just show business. The broadcast of Royal Cobras comes after a Russian print shop recently refused to print greeting cards and banners featuring the Korean boy band BTS, insisting the decorations were quote-unquote gay propaganda. Despite the Pinky Pop Cafe being a K-pop themed establishment, they claim it wouldn't be printing the product because the group has non-traditional orientation. In 2018, a Russian anti-LGBT group cancelled a screening of BTS film Love Yourself at a cinema in, I'm not gonna pronounce that city, in Dagestan. According to the Moscow Times, the group claimed the film was about 7 Korean homosexuals. Are they all gay?
I don't think any of them are.
Yeah, I was thinking they...
Exactly.
Because they're Korean, they're very attractive.
Yeah.
That's all, they're just very pretty.
I just think Russians are just jealous. Koreans are pretty. Look at them. Their skin is so smooth.
I'm scared to say things like that. But yeah, Russian people are very masculine. There are, of course, as any other country, there are a variety of people.
Yeah.
But usually when you see people, they're more masculine. Even women are a bit rougher.
Yeah.
And Korean people are very soft. At least they look very soft and very smooth.
They take care of themselves.
Yeah, and
they look
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's a difference between self-care and vanity.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, just because is it gay to take care of yourself? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just because people are looking after themselves, it doesn't mean they're gay, especially men. We need to get rid of that toxic thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sure, it's not LGBT plus related, the show. Yeah, okay.
How do you do a show about drag without mentioning the gay community?
How do you do a show of drag without being gay in it? Hi, my name is Boris. I'm gonna dress up like a woman. Nothing gay about that.
No homo.
No homo. Like, how do you...
To be honest, when I read this article, and before I started rewriting it, when I first read it, I thought, okay, so they're taking the context away from the act of drag. That kind of leaves you to appreciate drag purely as an art form.
It's still very gay.
I know, but as an art form, you can still appreciate it, like the costumes, the makeup, the whole process of being that performer. It is an art form.
I mean, I know what you mean.
It would be like taking country's culture away from their fashion.
Yeah.
Cultural appropriation.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is cultural appropriation because this drag culture is gay culture.
Yeah.
This is cultural appropriation.
So, my reaction when you told me about it was, it's something.
I know.
Like, the fact that there's a law against that propaganda, yes, they kind of got away with it, but still showing it, that they exist. And, like, smart people will know that, oh shit, it's just that. I came from Lithuania. We didn't have representation that much at all. You could see, like, few people. Once I caught a film, and again, I was already, like, 18 or 19.
Yeah.
But for kids to see that it's appropriate to show it, even though they don't show the LGBT
but
plus side.
They are insisting that this is not LGBT promoting. The disclaimer at the beginning of the first episode says we're not promoting this. This isn't propaganda. They keep using that word as well.
Okay, imagine if you would be taken to prison for making this podcast.
Yeah.
But you still want to make a change.
Yeah.
So you say, this podcast is not about LGBT plus people. And then you talk about LGBT plus people. I'm thinking and hoping that this is the case. To see that kind of representation will still be better than that don't see it.
Yeah.
You know when people say, this was my first crush, that's how I know I'm gay?
Yeah.
It wasn't intention for you to feel that way. Or like, this movie made me bi. Those kind of memes.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't an intention. I'm thinking this could be the same. Boys who feel like they want to dress up will feel like they are shown on TV. And they, even if they can't show that they're gay, there's still that thing that it's maybe nothing wrong with that thing.
Yeah.
It's an art form. And slowly, hopefully, they will break out.
So you're saying that hopefully more people might want to take part in it as an art form, and then if enough people make it look positive, like there is nothing wrong with it, then maybe they can reintroduce the gay culture.
So now everyone thinks it's wrong, and people who are LGBT plus, they are scared to come out and to show themselves. But after showing that, more even straight people would start to see that there's nothing wrong with that. It could be pretty, it could be nice, it could be beautiful. That's what I think. It's funny that they disclaim that it's not LGBT plus related, and I feel like this should be just a silly disclaimer.
A study has shown that using gender-neutral pronouns makes people more positive towards women and LGBT plus people, and less biased towards men. 3 experiments were carried out with more than 3,000 participants, which involved them being shown a cartoon of an androgynous figure walking a dog, and then asked what was happening in the picture. One group was told to use only neutral pronouns, one group was told to use female pronouns, and one was told to use male pronouns. They then completed a series of tasks, including writing a story about a person running for political office and answering questions about their views on women and queer people. According to the report, Using gender-neutral pronouns at the beginning of the task made it more likely that the volunteers would use non-male names in their stories and would have pro-women, pro-queer views. Efrem Perez, a political science professor at the University of California and one of the authors of the study, told The Guardian, "Let's assume there are societies that generally agree on being more inclusive of women and LGBT individuals, and there are more than a few. Our findings suggest that the words we choose to use can matter in getting us a little bit closer towards reaching that ideal." Laura Russell, Director of Research Policy and Campaigns at Stonewall, said, "This study adds to the evidence showing that when we use language that actively includes women and LGBT people, it makes a real difference in reducing gender stereotyping. Using gender-neutral language is a positive step towards creating a world where everyone is accepted without exception."
Yay.
Yay!
It's no-brainer.
I know.
Just saying one thing, you save words by saying they instead of he, she, and you just sound stupid if you say he, she.
Yeah. Oh look, someone dropped his, her wallet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, sounds stupid, doesn't it?
Yeah. Other things, saying man or woman, again.
Yeah.
Save yourself some time and say a person.
Yeah,
And if you see a group of people and call them ladies or gentlemen or guys, boys,
yeah, dudes,
whatever, might make someone in that group uncomfortable.
Yeah.
To avoid that, easy.
As a teacher, I try not to do that now.
Yeah, that's good.
And if I accidentally do it, or my brain just goes and I end up saying like girls, ladies, or whatever, I really hate myself in that moment. I'm trying really hard to be inclusive because you don't know what's going on in a kid's head.
Yeah.
That word could really hurt them. It could punch them in the chest or something. Yeah.
That's the thing though, anti-trans people think that being inclusive like that, you would encourage a kid to transition.
No, you're encouraging them to explore something that they might not have otherwise thought about doing.
The fact that you push being feminine on AFABs, being feminine in the early age, makes them, even if they don't change their gender in the end and they're comfortable with being a woman, she might still feel disgusted by all the feminine things because it was pushed so hard.
Yeah.
That it's a trauma. Making your kid, or like when AMABs are forced to do manly things.
Yeah.
It's a trauma. Don't. Just let them do what they want to do. Unless it's drugs, of course. Or knives. Just don't let them do that.
Or guns.
Yeah, don't let them do that. But anything else, Barbies, cars, not real guns, swords, sticks, bowls, anything.
Is that bowls?
Bowls.
Like in the park, like playing with the... Okay, you said bowl, I swear.
No, I said
like a
bowls.
mixing bowl, like in the kitchen.
First you say, I have to read something about Russia. Then you do this.
I'm sorry. I've been picking on you today.
Maybe.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'll give you a cuddle later.
Okay.
I'll make a pizza. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Non-Binary Show.
If you would like to be mentioned in a future episode, please send us your thoughts on today's topic to one of our socials.
Our Instagram is at non.by.neri.
Our Facebook at non.by.neri.show.
You can also email us at non.by.neri.pod@gmail.com.
Or send us a voice message at anchor.fm/nonbinary. That's all one word, no dots.
See you next time, and remember, you are valid.